tier list. You love them,
Set my soul on fire.
you hate them. Some does it better than others, while some are just straight up weird.
They can smoke. Oh man, okay.
And in this video, I'll be ranking all the agents from 1.0 way up to our current patch, which is 2.0. And I'll be discussing whether an agent is either A, fun to play with, and B, are they worth investing or not. And since we reached over 35 characters, believe it or not, some are really worth your value of investing for endgame. And some are just straight up trash. And in today's video, I want to go over which character you should be playing and which character is worth building. Got all that? So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into things, there are some disclaimers I want to let you in on. First off, this video is a lie. It's not really a tier list, more like a chart, but my brains work differently and I refuse to rename my video. So here's 2 tier lists based on my opinions on how fun they are to play and control to compensate your troubles, and also a tier list based on their investment in endgame content. Shout out to Teresa for making this tier list, by the way. What I'll be going over is solely based on this chart, where the x-axis will represent how fun a character is through their gameplay, their personality, or even their voice line. If I like playing them or if they're worth the investment, the avatar will go far, and vice versa. And on the y-axis represent your investment and should you even consider taking your time to build them. And lastly, this is just my opinion, based on the amount of game time I had with the agents. You can definitely leave a comment criticizing how bad this chart is, because I honestly want to know your opinions about a specific character I may have misplaced. And of course, I'm only human, so my judgments will be somewhat biased on certain characters. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? The first character I want to talk about is Billy. Our beloved Starlight Knight has been around forever now, and since he is our first DPS agent we get to control, his gameplay should be smooth and seamless, and sure enough, he's pretty fun to play, and his design is so freaking good, and dare I say it, pretty peak. His combo string is easy to understand, and his kit doesn't require you to read out paragraphs.
The fuck is this?
Easy to pick up, easy to learn, and fun as hell to play. I'll place him here, kinda in the middle where he belongs. Next up, Ambi Damara, our very first stunner agent, and just like Billy, easy to pick up and easy to play. But the similarities between Ambi and Billy ends here. While she is somewhat enjoyable and fun to just pick up and play from time to time, her kit basically doesn't add a lot to your team. And I would say Ambi has a higher skill ceiling than Billy, and she is definitely harder to play since her dodge counter basically gives her next to no invince frame. So good luck dodging with Ambi. With low investment value and potential replacement partners like Trigger and Qingyi, I'll have to give Ambi a pretty low score, behind Billy on both investment and enjoyment. She's still a great character though. Now what about Nicole Damara? Even till this day, Nicole is one of, if not still is, the best free-to-play support option anyone should have on their team. Her EX special, defensive assist, and ult is very satisfying to use. I mean, who doesn't like big succulent orb? So I'll put her high up on the tier list. Perfect. Now, let's talk about Nekomata. With all jokes aside, she's pretty fun to pick up and play. While her kit is somewhat mediocre at best, she's still a pretty solid DPS agent. Just chuck her into any physically weak enemy and you'll do just fine. Unless you don't have her Mindscape nor her Wenjin, then at that point, just use Billy.
Come on, you're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
Okay, moving on to Ben Bigger. Yeah, he's not great. His gameplay is abysmally slow, and his kit is just straight up terrible. I mean, just take a look at how people play Ben. They don't even use him as a defense agent. He's straight up a DPS at this point. And even so, this requires a lot of investing. Just get a meme build out of the way. His gameplay is clunky, his kit is terrible, but while the meme potential is there, the investment is just not worth it. Straight to the bottom you go. Moving on to Anton, which kinda suffers the same fate as Ben Bigger. His gameplay is kind of a snooze fest until you get your energy full, and even so he does next to no damage. Just use Haramasa at this point. Even DPS Ambi is even better option than Anton. With low return on investment and janky gameplay combined, I'll place him here. While he's still worth picking up if you're for some reason needing an electric DPS, you're better off grabbing any limited electric DPS, and it will still be better than him. Then we have Grace, and I want to start off by saying, for me at least, her gameplay is extremely ADHD reliant, cause every time I look at her gauge, I'm obligated to shock the enemy. And I mean, that's kinda how you play her at least. I think her gameplay is fun enough where I'm not sleeping at my keyboard like Anton, so at least she has that going for her. What I can positively say about Grace is she actually a decent character to invest in nowadays, with the anomaly meta still going strong, and with the likes of Vivian and future agents like Yuzuha and Alice releasing, Grace is very flexible, because you can probably use her as either a straight DPS character or a specialized anomaly character. After a fall from grace, she's still usable in today's meta, and still fun to pick up and play. However, I cannot say the same thing for Kaleida, the CEO of Billabong Industry. After the release of Lighter, Kaleida has been slowly dropped off as a character that's not a lot of people care to play or invest in anymore. Hell, even her VA got banished into the Shadow Realm. Still till this day, Kaleida is still the fastest stunner out of everyone, but her kit is a pretty huge letdown. And her gameplay doesn't support her either. She feels clunky and slow while controlling her, and even her EX special is a hit or miss sometimes. But her dodge counter is really good though, same as her ult. I guess I'll place her here. Yeah, that's good for now. Next up, Corrin. Until this day, she still has the worst dash attack I've ever used, but other than that, her kit is pretty fun to use. Specifically, that infinite invis frame is pretty fun to abuse, but her gameplay basically nails down to holding her EX special, just like Anton. But at least her kit is pretty decent. To some extent at least, I'll put Corrin here. I think that's good enough for now. And next up, Rina, which to me is not fun to play at all. Her job is to get in, EX special, and get out. But at least she gets the job done, I suppose. And you may be wondering, Nicole suffered the same fate as Rina. Their job is to get in, EX special, and get out. However, Rina is a standard S rank, which is harder to get than Nicole, which is an A rank. And she requires M1 to fully be functional in the endgame content. And she can't defensive assist. Damn, that sucks.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not?
So overall, high investment rate and boring gameplay around here is good for Rina. Moving on, we have Von Lycon. Until this day, he remains a top tier agent for all Ice Team. Both Ellen and Hugo benefits greatly from Lycon's kit, and Miyabi also works really well with him. And Lycon generally doesn't need a lot of investing, just slap an okay engine on him and he's good to go. While his gameplay is somewhat passable, specifically his EX special sometimes does not want to do its job, but still, Lycon remains a top tier agent. With an incredible kit and decent enough gameplay, it will be placed here, fairly high above the rest. And speaking of Ellen, the Shark Girl gets a sizable power increase after her drop off during patch 1.0. With the new kit, she's handling the endgame content very well, better than expected I suppose, and with her kit doesn't need a lot of investment, she'll be placed higher than her previous 1.0 version, like a lot higher. Before the buff, I would even consider her as a top tier agent to pull for, but with the buff, I'll push her slightly higher up here, and that's a pretty solid for the new and improved Ellen Jo. But what about Soldier 11? The forgotten fire DPS that was replaced by Evelyn. Well, to this day, she still remains the queen of fire DPS. If you would invest in her build, Vengeance and Mindscape of course, while not as strong as Evelyn's kit, pure fire damage wise, she still reigns supreme over other fire DPS agents. While her gameplay is somewhat difficult until you actually pick up and learn, once you figure out how to play her, it's as easy as it gets. So with a strong kit to invest in and her fire suppression gameplay, I rank her pretty high, as she's still the queen of fire DPS character. Now what about Zhu Yuan, which remain till this day the only Ether DPS agent to ever be released. While her gameplay is somewhat janky and hard to understand at first, her investment till this day is still paying off. The thing about her kit is you really gotta learn how to play her in order to get the max out of her.
I'm built different.
Or just use her as a burst DPS agent, that also works too. Until this day, I still believe that Zhu Yuan is still a high tier DPS agent. For Ether at least, she'll go up here. Now, what about her partner in crime, Qingyi? I'm gonna be honest with you here, her gameplay makes my hand hurts. But she's very easy to pick up and learn, the same could be said about her kit as well. Although Qingyi usage has fallen off a little bit, the on-field queen still see usage for almost all DPS agent. A strong stunner nonetheless, so I'll place her here, a bit below Lycon. Now, what about Jane Doe? The Guru Rat has been in rotation for some times now. With the release of Vivian and future support agent like Yuzuha, her kit is still worth investing going into 2.0. And Jane Doe's gameplay is still solid across the board. She's very fun to play, easy to pick up, and she spin. Look at her go. So Jane will be around here. Very nice. Now Seth is something. The cat officer doesn't offer much for his kit, considering he's only usable in Anomaly team. While he does offer decent damage to his Mindscape, which you can turn Seth into a DPS, in general, he's not a good character to invest in. But man, this character is so fun to use. His charged EX attack is by far the best in the game. And it's not even a debate. It's just when it comes to team building wise, Caesar has him beat in almost every aspect. Poor Seth. I'll place him here though, because his gameplay is still pretty awesome. Speaking of Caesar, the king is still an important character in modes like Endless Tower. if you don't have Asher Yao for your account, for some reason, Caesar is still a very strong candidate that would help you clear all floors without any issues. Strong agent, strong investment should be a no-brainer top tier agent, right? Well, her gameplay is not great. She can act as a buffer character, which worked fine in of itself, but if you use her as an on-field stun agent, yeah, she's not that great to play. Overall, still a strong character to pull, and her kit is still top tier. On to our next agent, Lucy. Easy to invest in, low requirements, and still a solid support agent till this day. She can fit onto most teams and act like budget Asher Yao, which don't count her out. She's still very solid. Her gameplay, however, is somewhat desirable. Just get in, EX special, and get out. But unlike Rina, she can actually hold down her EX special and supercharge her board, which do extra damage. So with that, Lucy goes up here. Pretty justifiable. Now, what about Bernice? The first ever off-field DPS agent started out very strong, and even till this day, she can still keep up with other anomaly team against any endgame content. But I'll have to be honest, her gameplay is pretty mid. It's not bad, but it's not good either. But it makes sense considering she's an off-field character, so I'm not going to complain too much into it. That's a good spot for her. But what about Piper? Is she still a decent character till this day? Surprisingly, yes. Although being called the quote-unquote budget Jane though, Piper still dishes out very strong anomaly damage. She's literally a spin to win character. The more you spin, the more damage you deal. Which, if you like to spin, you'll definitely like her gameplay. Overall, solid character to play and invest in. Moving on to another Caledon member, Lighter is such a good freaking character. Both his gameplay and his kit is still amazing till this day. Lighter fits in so well with all Ice and Fire DPS agent, making him the go-to stunner for almost everyone. And he's very fun to play. I mean, who wouldn't want to play as a guy who punches stuff really fast? Definitely deserve a solid high tier ranking. Next up, Yanagi, and I'ma be honest, this still aged like fine wine to be honest, considering she could fit in almost any anomaly team without any issues, so it's a no-brainer, right? Well, not exactly. Her gameplay is kinda hard to understand, unless you use her as Miyabi's battery. To me, her gameplay feels a bit clunky, but she's still the best electric DPS slash anomaly agent out there that I'll just place her here. Yeah, that should be good. But what about Yanagi's smaller gremlin, Sukaku? Well, she does offer decent buff and a lot of anomaly buildup, as well as the funny haha DPS Sukaku, her gameplay is very wonky. Like, she's kinda slow with her buff and everything else. However, that does not stop people from killing deadly assault bosses with Sukaku as a support. So I'll rate her fairly high, probably on the same level as Lucy. Yes, Harumasa. He is interesting, to say the least. While I think Harumasa could potentially be one of the best electric DPS agent out there, his gameplay is sorta, I don't know how to describe it, very unique and interesting, but he's still a very strong DPS agent altogether. Plus you got him for free during 1.4, so it's not the end of the world if you don't have any electric DPS character on your side. Just gotta learn how to play him. But overall, solid character, solid kit, he'll go right up there, slightly below Zuyuan. Now onto the opposite spectrum is Miyabi. Until this day, she's still the strongest DPS character out of everyone. Even ice resistance doesn't stop her. She's that good, and her gameplay is very easy to understand, but kinda hard to keep up. Just don't overcharge your stack. So easy to pick up and understand, but hard to grasp once you go in depth about her gameplay. At the end of the day, it's still Miyabi. She'll go up here. And can you guess who's gonna be even higher than Miyabi? That's right, it's Asher Yao. Her gameplay? Non-existent, cause her job isn't to deal damage. Her job is to sing and give a buttload of buff to your team. Like, you gotta understand, 1300 attack is a lot, and the ability to pull a chain attack out of nothing? Say no more. Busted character with a busted kit, and while her gameplay just involves you pressing her EX special and sometimes switch over to her when you need to ult, she'll still rank high though, cause chain attack is very fun to pull off with DPS agent. And wouldn't you know it, Evelyn is exactly the agent in question that benefits from chain attack. I do have to say though, her kit is kinda hard to pick up at first since you do need Asher Yao on your team. But if you have them both, yeah, this character is a no-brainer. But if you don't have Asher Yao, it makes your experience with Evelyn kinda take a nosedive. Evelyn is very fun to pick up and play with. But for investing wise, yeah, you kinda need Asher Yao for Evelyn if I'm being honest. Now, really controversial take here about Pokra, since I am the biggest Pokra enjoyer there is out there. Pokra, in short, is kinda bad to play, especially if you play her as a traditional stunner. But the good thing about Pokra is she is not your traditional stunner. She can deal a lot of days in a short span of time if you manage her resources properly. But that evasive assist for Pokra kinda sucks, to be honest. If they gave her a defensive assist instead, she would definitely one of the best free-to-play agent on the market. But since she needs her M6 in order to be of any use, outside of aftershock damage that is, she'll go here. Great agent if you have her M6, but not that great in terms of investment-wise. Next up, Silver Ambi. And this character fell off the face of meta straight afterwards. While still being one of the best electric DPS agent, her investment-wise kinda needs a lot, to be honest. Considering Silver Ambi desperately needs either Pokra or Trigger, Silver Ambi might get a resurgence after Jufufu drop. However, her gameplay is kinda whack. Her animation, not that great, and aftershock damage for DPS agent doesn't bring much to the table, to be honest. So for Silver Ambi wise, she's still a decent pickup, and for sure, one of the strongest electric DPS agent if you have M6 Pokra or Trigger. If not, Haramasa is, I'd say, better than her.
You're not that guy. You're not.
And the agent that I couldn't believe actually aged extremely well is Trigger. Debuff? Check. Fast stun? Check. Cat? Double check. She basically Ching-Yi, but slightly better. And best of all, you don't need to spam your finger off when playing as Trigger. Her gameplay, that is. While she's not the most exciting character to play, but her buff pretty much benefits everyone, including Yi Swan. So for now, she'll be very high on the list. Not as good as Astra, but still, way too strong of a character to pass on. Now, what about Vivian? While her kit simply boils down to off-field ether damage, Vivian can be so much more, and just like Yanagi, she fits in with even more teams, since she can be treated as an off-field anomaly agent. However, she doesn't do enough damage on her own to be able to solo content, and her stacks are somewhat confusing, leaving her gameplay as somewhat desirable. However, very easy to invest in, and she pretty much goes well with any anomaly team. Vivian will be placed here, amongst Yanagi as a very decent anomaly partner for any team. And lastly, for 1.0, we have Hugo Vlad, a very interesting DPS character with the totalized mechanic. Now, before Ellen Joe buff, he is straight up Ellen 2.0, with not a lot of investment required. However, with the Ellen Joe buff, he sits in a weird position. While he doesn't offer as much as Miyabi's anomaly, he still clear ice enemy without any issues, granted if you have lighter. And I'ma be honest with you, if you don't have lighter on your team, Hugo damage drops significantly. But with Hugo and Lycon combined, Hugo is pretty much unstoppable, even better than Miyabi for some instances. So it all depends on your investment. If you really want the funny vampire man, by all means, go all in. But if you want a comfortable clear, use Ellen. And if you want to destroy everything on your warpath, go Miyabi. Very good agent wise, go here. And that's all the agent from 1.0. I say it looks pretty solid. I'm pretty satisfied. Maybe I'll go in after editing and change one or two things here and there.
Hey, Editing ZD here, and I just realized that this tier list is garbage. But I'm already so deep into this video already, so I might as well fix one or two things here and there. And yeah, that's it. Obviously this is not perfect, but I am just so done with this video. It took me so long to edit, a whole 30 minutes of it. So, back to you, Paz ZD.
But for now, the charts stand as is. Now, for 2.0 agents, we have Yi Swan. And I don't have a lot to say to her at the moment since she's just been released, as well as other creators sharing their thoughts. I'ma put her here, almost the same as Miyabi, but harder to play. Like, you actually need to learn how to play Yi Swan in order to max her out, and her teammate is pretty much non-existent. Besides Pan and Jufufu, at least Pan is easy enough to get. Speaking of, Pan is somewhat of an interesting character, easy to understand, but his gameplay is very simplified. Unlike Yi Swan 13 paragraphs long of how to play her, Pan is much more simple. In short, he buff Rupture Agent, which he's the only support agent to do so. Plus, his gameplay is easy to understand and very smooth to play. Even his ult is very simple to activate, and he also heals your agent as well. But building him is more difficult, considering he needs 3k attack in total, kinda makes it a bit harder to build him. Granted, you don't need him to be exactly 3k attack, but his Winjin and even Seth Winjin would help greatly with it. So for now, he's definitely a valuable asset to have if you manage to have Yi Swan. But if you don't have her, I mean, Pan is still usable, to some extent. And at the time of recording this video, Jufufu hasn't been released yet, but so far I did manage to try out Jufufu and play around with her kit, And in my honest opinion, she'll probably go over here, next to Sugar. Considering she hasn't been out yet, I'll just have to make some prediction of how Jufufu will be. And just for fun, Yuzuha and Alice will both go here, respectively. I mean, their kit's not even out yet, but the gameplay is interesting enough for me to rank them. And that's pretty much all the characters from 1.0 to 2.0 at the moment of this video. Let me know what you all think about it so far. There could be a fix here and there depending on how I see them going forward in the future, but for now, I'm pretty happy with what I got so far. If you like what you're seeing in this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Almost at 500 subs now. I'm so close. And also, please join the Church of BANGBOO for anything ZZ related content. Huge shout out to Parogari for boosting the server and Hamon with the music. Shout out to Teresa for helping with the video. And thanks for watching. The Church of BANGBOO bids you farewell. I'm out.